Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, September 2nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing along with the candlestick. That'll be moving around. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, AVCT. Not a good day at all. Been following this. The trend's been fantastic, but today things really got nasty, which does actually present a potential trading point for those people that are disciplined and can honor stop losses. And that has to do with the fact of where this downwards movement apparently has started to level off here, which is at that pink line, which on my chart denotes the very well-known, the very famous 200 period moving average. Now, let me be very clear. Just because that's a well-known level does not mean that for sure guaranteed it's going to bounce. However, is it a plausible outcome? Is it logical to think that it very well could bounce? Absolutely. But again, no guarantees. So that's why risk management matters. But, not too shocking. I'll start to see a little bit of a green candle form there right at that level. But from a risk reward standpoint, like I said earlier, assuming you can be disciplined, if you're wrong and this thing just continues to bleed, all right, you got a small loss. But if you're right and you do get some sort of bounce, or better yet, a bounce that turns into a full-blown reversal, then relative to what was being risked, you could be looking at a very interesting situation. So yeah, that the 200 period moving average here on that 30-minute time frame, definitely a very interesting scenario that trade plans could certainly be built around. Next one, ticker symbol VRAX, and what a monster move this one had today, especially this afternoon. You can see the volume poured in just that much more, and that's what brings about what I think will be a lot of eyeballs watching this level with the main dynamic. And let me be very clear, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply that, me drawing this line here or noticing this level up here at $6. Let me just make sure I get that right. Yeah, $6.15 is some sort of great discovery. I assure you a lot of people have noticed that level as resistance. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same level and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can definitely produce some very dynamic movement. So as I mentioned, no guarantees, but is it plausible? Is it rational to think that the price consolidates out, then comes up here and can get a break up to 615, that break could create that much more upside buying pressure? That is absolutely a plausible outcome and, rational thought process on your end. I will zoom in here a little bit, but if you do like to play more so pullbacks, then a very interesting pullback level going to be right down here around the $5 mark, so keep an eye on that. But overall, big movement today, big volume, and if this momentum carries into Friday, then yeah, 615 is certainly a very intriguing level. Next one, AVYA. Was doing this one on a very routine basis, then I don't know if lost track of it is the right word, but yeah, I guess lost track of it. And today, though, things really came back to life. Actually came back to life right there when the price broke above that trend line yesterday on Wednesday, and then today was just that much more follow-through of that trend line break. So to anybody that bought that breakout right there of the trend line, I mean, congratulations, you're being paid very nicely at this point. But nonetheless, let's zoom back in here and now look at some of the newer levels to keep an eye on. And first key level from resistance standpoint that I'm very curious about is just that resistance trend line right there, which puts the next breakout point right up there around $1.90, give or take a couple cents. So keep an eye on $1.90 moving forward from a resistance standpoint. As far as supports and pullbacks are concerned, the level there that really stands out is $1.64, which is a classic example of that former area of resistance now acting as support. Actually essentially happened twice right there. So if you do like to play pullbacks, then $1.64 is a very intriguing level. But all in all, the momentum has shown back up, and as this one has shown previously, when this one gets moving, it can move pretty big. So let's see if this momentum carries into Friday. Next, NVDA had a train wreck of a day. Now, what makes this interesting is the fact that things did apparently level off and are now starting to head back up, which brings about the very valid question of, okay, is this bounce the start of something bigger, or is this just some sort of dead cat bounce? And depending on your strategy, I mean, if you play shorts or puts or whatever, you could be looking at this, or if you're somebody that likes to play longs and bounces, well, then hey, maybe like I said, this is the start of something much bigger. So let's get a couple of key levels mapped out here. First level from a resistance standpoint, my mind all about that trend line right there. We'll see if the price can break up through there. And then as far as supports are concerned, nothing fancy or complicated here other than the fact of where did the bleeding finally stop? And that was basically right here at 132.65. But to give a bigger picture point of view, so we have our, and keep it all one color, We have our resistance. We have our support. We have the nasty downwards move there. So really at this point, essentially what's going on is bear flag, bear pennant, whatever you want to call it. So let me be very clear. I'm not saying, because just like if there's a bullish pattern does not mean that the price is for sure going higher, just like there's a bearish pattern does not mean that the price is for sure going lower. All I'm saying is, yeah, this is a nice bounce. Nobody can take away from that, but I would definitely have a big question mark there in terms of, yeah, but is this actually strong? Or is this just some sort of, dead cat bounce, like I said earlier, where the price eventually going to roll back over and then retest these lows? And at that point, that brings up the next very intriguing question of, okay, what's going to happen there? Is it going to be a double bottom? Is the price going to collapse? So like I said, but that's the idea of a watch list, right? To find unique, to find interesting situations, and not to just randomly rush out and buy anything, but to watch it and see how the price ultimately behaves. And if it does behave in a way that fits your strategy and your personal risk tolerance, well, then at that point is where you take action. But like I said, the job of a watch list is to find those unique, interesting situations. And NVIDIA, at least in my opinion, certainly fits that category. Next one here, AMC. And I put this one strategically because, and let me be very clear, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen with NVIDIA. But for those of you that did watch my video yesterday, I went and basically said the same exact thing. Was, yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. There is a nice bounce here. But I would be very, very skeptical. And you can see right here, the price just completely rolled back over. So same general dynamic again on NVIDIA, although I'm not saying that that's what's going to for sure happen because, again, no guarantees. But as far as AMC is concerned, yeah, that bounce that occurred on Wednesday completely wiped away. Going to go ahead and adjust this area of support down here because this is where our first key update comes into play. This being based on that foundational rule and levels of support are broken and closed below. They tend to act as resistance. So right up here at about 868 is going to be that main battleground. Once more, AMC, nice little bounce, but I'm not going to sit here and repeat myself, but same general idea of what I just talked about with NVIDIA. Yeah, it's bouncing, but it is occurring. In fact, I'll just quickly draw the pattern. So we have a bear flag pattern here. But if this bounce does continue, then that's where the first big kind of test and question mark for the bulls resides is, can the price get up through and stay above that 868 mark? If the price does ultimately roll back over, then just a question of where did the bleeding stop today? And that was down there at $8.30. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that from a support standpoint. Real quickly, wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for a free live training here that I'm offering. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool and why it's so powerful in terms of helping to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free live training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description box. If you're watching at my site, then there's an area right on the webpage. One special thing here, though, is that given it is live, and given when you watch this is going to determine a few things. So because it's this evening, if you already have something on your schedule, I understand. I have 5 kids. I understand how crazy life can be. Go ahead, drop me an email because a live event will be recorded. So after the event's done and I get it uploaded, I'd happily send you a link to it. Or maybe you're watching this Friday morning and you've just flat out completely missed the event. Again, go ahead, drop me an email there, and I will gladly send you a replay to it after it's completed and I get it uploaded. But if you can definitely make it live, then yeah, hopefully I'll be seeing you there in a few hours. Next, MULN, and this one's interesting, and I talked about it previously, because yeah, it did essentially go back to where it was, but it actually made a little bit of progress here. Now, does this mean that this is going to be a full-blown reversal? No, but unlike, so AMC, for example, what did AMC do? It started to bounce, it came back down, retested lows, and then just continued to go further and further downwards. But this one didn't do that in 2 ways. First off, it did not retest the lows. Sure, it got close, but, I mean, it didn't test them. And then after that, it started to head back up. So again, going back to the idea of interesting, unique situations. Is this interesting? Is this unique? Is it worth keeping an eye on, especially if you like penny stocks? Yeah, absolutely it is. So maybe this is some sort of leading indicator that there's another sign of momentum left in it. As always, risk management matters. But like I said, very, very unique with the price coming down, not quite testing those lows, and now starting to bounce back upwards, which has also allowed for this uptrending trend line to be put into play. Next one here, NIO. Probably should have put this one right next to NVIDIA because generally speaking, same talking points. So we have a level of resistance right there at $18.90. And then, yes, we do have a nice bounce here. But as I draw this up, so we have, that's our support trend line. We have our resistance trend line. We have the big momentum move there. And that's just a classic bear pennant pattern. So again, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is for sure saying that it's going to break to the downside. All I'm trying to get across is, yes, this is a nice bounce, but I would be a little bit more skeptical of it. But for those of you that do like to play shorts or, play puts, then here you go. You got yourself a nice bear pennant pattern. Next, BGXX, and this one's pretty simple, at least in my mind. But to me, the play is, does this thing want to close the gap? right there at $1.40. And as always, risk management matters. So if you're someone that's not going to honor stop losses, because what could very well happen is maybe this is the beginning of the end, and this thing's going to go down to $1.40 and say, yeah, I don't care, and drift into oblivion. You don't want to be caught holding the bag. You don't want to be caught sitting there, holding and hoping and never getting any sort of move in your favor. But it's also valid to think that, well, it could close the gap, consolidate, and then head back up. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, relative to what is being risked, if you do get that bounce, or better yet, some sort of bounce that turns into a reversal, then compared to what was being risked, you could be looking at a very, very solid situation. So if you like to play gap closes, if you like to play stocks where you have low volume pullbacks, because check out the volume here, extremely small compared to the breakout candles. So during the pullback, then this is one that is certainly worth at least keeping somewhere on your watch list. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and what a bounce on this one, no doubt about it. Got to give credit where credit's due, but I'm very curious now from a resistance standpoint. This first one, let me get this updated because I drew that trend line in there yesterday, but with the price breaking down below it, per the rules, you would expect that to act as resistance, and it's actually already happened once. That opening 30 minutes with a gap down, price bounced up, and you can see that trend line then became resistance, and now all of a sudden it's once again within striking distance. So it brings about the valid question, okay, if the price can get up to that level, is it going to get rejected again? Is that going to be the leading indicator of even a stronger bounce to come? So like I said, in my mind at least, and as somebody that watches and trades Tesla almost on a daily basis, these will be the levels that I'm curious about. So definitely that trend line there, if it can break above there, then it's all about that level right up there at 281.75. As far as levels of support are concerned, if this thing does try to pull back down, first key level going to be right there at 272.50. And then, yeah, essentially after that, basically down there at those lows. But I'm not going to put that down there because that's easy enough to remember, and I don't want to clutter up the chart with too many annotations. But those will definitely be the main levels that I'm watching personally for Tesla on Friday. Next one here, PLTR, and I apologize. I should have put this at a different spot because it's the talking point that you've heard me say, so I'm going to go relatively quickly through it. But to give credit where credit's due, yeah, there is a nice upwards channel here that's bounced. You can't deny that at all. Problem is the big downwards momentum here, which has created the bear flag pattern. So I'm not going to, there's no guarantees, blah, blah, blah. You get all that. But to give credit, it is bouncing up nicely. But if this bounce does continue, then one level here that's really standing out a whole lot is check out that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. So there's one rejection. There's two rejections. There's three rejections. So that doesn't mean that it's for sure going to be rejected, but I would just be very careful if it gets up to that level, trying to give it some sort of wiggle room to say, okay, is it going to clear, or is, history going to repeat itself like it's done 3 times before back here? But yeah, nice bounce today. Still has a lot of work to be done. And yeah, that 50-period moving average looming up above is apparently a pretty big hurdle that, while can be cleared, is going to take the bulls, to bring their A game. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, then certainly get signed up for the free live training. Like I said, it'll be this evening, Thursday, September 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But once more, if you already have something on your schedule tonight, or you just flat out missed it and you're watching this Friday morning, then by all means, please drop me an email, clay@claytrader.com, and I will gladly send you a link to the recording. But again, just as a reminder, the event is live, so first it has to happen, and then I got to get it uploaded, and then I would be glad to send you a link to it. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, then do 2 things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching tomorrow, or if you have any sort of requests for video or for charts that I could do tomorrow, leave those down below too. But thanks for watching. Get signed up for that class. Hopefully I'll be seeing you soon. If not, go ahead and drop me an email.